The luggage makes the car feel cramped. Mom, Dad, are you hot? I asked. Yeah, it's hard to go home in such a tight space. Amy, do you understand what we're trying to say? Mom suddenly asked. I was confused. What do you mean? You don't get it? You should be thankful for the chance to walk home for 8 hours. It's good for your health, and you should appreciate the opportunity. At that, I finally had enough. Fine, I'll get out of the car. Walking is easy. I can already see our house. They laughed at what I said, but I had a plan. I was ready to get back at them for everything I'd put up with. I'm Amy Adams, a 29-year-old housewife, married for half a year. I met my husband, Adam, in a university hiking club. We're both active and often go on weekend trips. We became close quickly because we enjoyed the same things. Adam was always the leader in the club, making decisions and guiding everyone. Since we started dating, Adam has always been the one in charge of our relationship. I want to eat Chinese food this weekend. It's been a while. He would then say, No, we're going hiking this weekend, Amy. Pack lunch for 2. If I ever complained about packing a lunch last minute, he'd say, Are you trying to argue with me? Adam always made the plans, and what he said was final. I'm not someone who stands up for myself much, so it was easier to just go along with his decisions. But looking back, that only made him more selfish. I decided to marry Adam because even though he could be selfish at times, he seemed dependable. But when we started talking seriously about marriage, Adam said something surprising. Amy, you'll quit your job when we get married, right? But I really like my job, I replied. Why is a woman arguing? Your job is just a hobby. It's not on the same level as mine. You should focus on running the household and supporting my career, which is more important. To Adam, my career didn't matter compared to his. He always made the final decision. I thought about it for a while, but in the end, I decided to quit my job and become a housewife, even though I didn't really want to. I didn't understand why Adam wanted me to focus only on the household when balancing both work and home would be easier. His real reasons became clear after we got engaged. When we visited his parents to share the news, I saw the truth. Mom, this is my future wife, Amy. She's going to quit her job and stay home, Adam said. Then he added, I hope she won't rely too much on my wallet. She doesn't have many skills, but please accept our marriage. Even though Adam was the one who told me to quit my job, his words were harsh. He seemed to think being a good husband meant making me depend on him for money. I realized he saw me as a way to boost his own image, especially in front of his mom. It was embarrassing to be talked down to like that in front of others, but I didn't speak up because I knew Adam would get angry. So, I kept quiet and put up with it. Couldn't you marry a more attractive woman? His mom said. Amy is plain, and since she doesn't work, she doesn't seem to have any special skills. It's like you're taking care of a child in an adult's body. You're so kind to marry someone like her. His mom was happy with the situation. To her, Adam seemed strong and reliable because he protected me. Adam often accused me of spending too much and bragged about being the head of the family. Even though it hurt, I stayed with him because I loved him. I thought it was my duty to take care of him. The more he pushed responsibility on me, the more dedicated I became. Eventually, Adam stopped even simple tasks like putting his clothes in the laundry basket. He had grown up in a household where he didn't learn any chores. Without me, he couldn't even make himself a meal. Surprisingly, Adam was proud of this. He thought it was normal for me to handle everything since he earned money. He believed everything should go his way. When traffic was bad, he would blame me. Are we driving or standing still? Why did you pick this route? He'd say. I'd apologize. I'm sorry, I should have checked better. Even though it wasn't my fault. Over time, I got used to apologizing for things that weren't my responsibility. 5 months into our marriage, summer came, and the heat became hard to bear. Amy, let's go somewhere cool for our next break. I've already booked it, Adam announced out of the blue, surprising me. Wait, what about my schedule? I asked. Why didn't you check with me? I might have plans, Adam replied. You're a housewife, you don't have plans. And just like that, the travel plans were set. Later, when I saw the credit card bill, it was much higher than usual. Adam, this bill seems off. Is there a mistake? Should I call the card company? I asked. No, it's right. It's for 7 people, he replied. I was confused. 7 people? Why? Obviously, my parents and sisters are coming to the summer retreat too. It can't just be us having fun. It's good to spend money on family. I hope you're not the kind of person who doesn't care about family expenses. Since you don't usually do much, let's make this trip meaningful, he said. While I understood the importance of family, I was upset that he used the card without telling me. I also didn't like feeling like I owed something. Why did you make such an important decision on your own? I asked. Because you're not good at planning. I'm handling everything. Is there something wrong with my decisions? If so, explain why, Adam responded, not backing down. In the end, I had to use the money my parents gave me at our wedding to cover the expenses. My peace of mind was gone, and Adam's controlling behavior was getting worse. He felt it was normal to use my money and time however he wanted. He constantly put me down, and I couldn't complain or ask anyone for advice. Soon, the day of our trip to the summer retreat arrived. We drove a large car with 7 adults. This was only my 3rd time meeting my in-laws. I hadn't noticed before, but it became clear that my mother-in-law took care of everything for my father-in-law. He wouldn't even open a bottle of water by himself, and he never thanked her. My sister-in-law seemed a bit annoyed by this, but her husband helped with housework and always checked if she was tired. I couldn't help but think how nice that was. It made me uncomfortable to see my mother-in-law so eager to serve her husband, but it seemed normal in Adam's family. I wondered if I would end up like her one day. She was strict with me, even though she was very caring toward my father-in-law. At one point during the trip, my mother-in-law suggested, "How about that restaurant for dinner?" I agreed, thinking it was a good idea. Then she said, "Great, you should make the reservation." Surprised, I asked, "You want me to make the reservation?" I was surprised. "You really don't notice anything, do you?" my mother-in-law said. "It's normal for the new daughter-in-law to handle these things. You should have offered to make the reservation." She clearly expected me to fulfill all her requests, just like she took care of my father-in-law. Now, taking care of my in-laws was added to my responsibilities, making everything even more overwhelming. Like Adam, the unspoken pressure was strong, and I wasn't allowed to object. The only support I had was from my sister-in-law, Rachel. She was older than Adam and very organized. This was the first time we really talked, but even in group activities, her ideas were smart and practical. Rachel often stepped in when my mother-in-law tried to make me do something. She understood how frustrating it was to be ordered around because she had gone through the same thing. Adam, however, stayed quiet and seemed to enjoy the trip without a care. "This cool breeze is nice," Adam said. "Maybe it would be great to live in a place like this one day." My mother-in-law breathed in the fresh air and agreed. "Yes, it would be perfect to retire somewhere like this. But it's too expensive, just a dream for us," she said with real disappointment. During the trip, my mother-in-law was busy exploring tourist spots and shops. Surprisingly, Adam knew a lot about the area, even though it was supposed to be his first time there. He confidently led us to places he wanted to visit. His parents adored him and followed along with his plans without any complaints. "Adam, have you been here before?" I asked. "No, this is my first time," he replied. "You seem to know a lot about it, even the best times to visit restaurants," I said. His answer was vague. The truth was that Adam had researched the area thoroughly, probably to make the trip enjoyable for everyone. While I was lost in thought, my mother-in-law's voice cut in. "This is heavy, Amy. Help me, please." She had done a lot of shopping and was carrying many bags. "Did you buy all this?" I asked. "Unlike you, I have many friends who need souvenirs. Since I'm carrying so much, it's only natural for a daughter-in-law to help," she said. "I don't understand why you can't see this." "It's probably because your parents didn't raise you properly," my mother-in-law said. Hearing her blame my parents was unsettling, but she often made comments like that. Behind her words was the pride that she had raised Adam well. Her attitude annoyed me, but I held back the urge to argue and quietly followed her directions. Rachel frowned at her mother's words. "How can you say such awful things, Mom?" "Amy, I'm sorry. I'll help you carry the bags. Think of it as helping the elderly." The elderly? Why would you say that to your parents? I asked. Rachel sighed. I can't keep quiet unless I say what's on my mind. If you're frustrated, maybe you should stop relying on us and be more independent. The stress of having to take care of both Adam and his parents was overwhelming. But with Rachel's support and the distraction of the new surroundings, I was reminded of why I had once found Adam's leadership comforting. By the time we were ready to head home, the car was packed with souvenirs, most of which my mother-in-law had bought. She didn't just buy gifts, she bought everyday items in bulk, saying, "It's cheaper here." The car felt cramped because of all the luggage. "Dad, Mom, are you hot?" I asked. "Yes, it's tough to travel in such a cramped space," they replied. Then suddenly they asked, "Amy, do you understand what we're trying to say?" I was caught off guard. What do you mean? You don't get it? You should walk home for 8 hours. Walk home? That's impossible. We live in a place where you can't get home without taking the highway, I said, shocked. Normally, we could send the luggage by courier, but they hesitated because they didn't want to pay the shipping costs. Using a courier service is a luxury. It defeats the purpose of driving. Making you walk is free, and it's good for your health. You should be grateful for such an opportunity, they said. Normally, I was told not to argue back, but this time, I couldn't help myself. I objected, and Adam and my mother-in-law frowned. What's more important, your body or all these souvenirs? You have hiking experience, so walking should be easy for you. It'd be nice to enjoy nature on your way back. That was my breaking point. I had put up with so much, but this was too far. They didn't understand my limits and thought they could say anything to me. Fine, I'll get out of the car. Walking is no problem for me, I said, fed up. I can already see our house, I said. Adam and his mother burst out laughing, and his mother asked, "What are you talking about? You're making no sense. Have you lost your mind?" I smiled and replied, "Actually, there's a group of vacation homes nearby, and one of the villas is mine. I'll be there soon, so I don't need to go back to the original house. I'm very happy with this place, and my butler will pick me up shortly." Adam and his mother were shocked. But what I said was true. My father runs a business, and our family is pretty well off. Recently, my parents bought a house in this area as a vacation home, planning to move here in the future. This area is popular with people relocating from the city. I had permission to use the villa, as long as I managed the property during the off-season. I hadn't told Adam about this, but I had told my parents before the trip. My parents were surprised, then angry, and they promised to fully support me. So, I decided I would move to this holiday resort if I wanted to. Adam, I feel like I've grown stronger because of you, so thank you. You gave me many orders and acted selfishly. I may not have been the perfect wife for you. Maybe you'd be happier marrying someone you truly love, I said, as I said goodbye. His mother's face darkened. What do you mean, someone he loves? She asked. I had been quietly looking into Adam's behavior for some time. I suspected he was cheating on me. Shortly after we got married, Adam started leaving the house more often, claiming he was going on business trips. But I became suspicious because of how often these trips happened. Adam, you said you were going on business trips, but when I checked with your company, I found out those trips didn't exist. In reality, you were seeing a woman in this area and pretending it was for work. Recently, I found a receipt from a store in this area in your pocket. Her name is Lauren, and she went to the same school as us, didn't she? Adam was shocked and flustered. He must have thought he had covered his tracks well, but his plan was too simple. He underestimated how much I paid attention. I've always taken care of everything in the house, and I knew every detail of his activities. You knew about that too? He stammered, caught off guard. I had no idea you knew, Adam said, looking surprised. Rachel, who couldn't take it anymore, was the first to speak up. Adam, what is this? Cheating is not okay, she said, clearly upset. Even his mother, who usually defended him, looked at him sternly this time. Adam has been meeting this woman in his free time. They've gone shopping and had tea together. Here are the photos to prove it, I said, showing them the pictures I had taken with my phone. I had secretly followed Adam, using my free time, and my suspicions were right, he had left clues. His mother looked at the photos, and her doubts turned into certainty. Adam, Explain yourself, Rachel demanded, furious. With no other choice, Adam finally confessed. Trying to stay calm, he said, "Okay, I'll be honest. Just before our marriage, I found out through social media that an old classmate of mine lives in this area. She moved here for work. She's someone I was secretly attracted to back in school. As we started talking about the past, we got closer." He paused for a moment, and everyone waited for what he'd say next. But his next words were unexpected. "We're not in a romantic relationship yet. We're just at a point where it's close to crossing that line. Because it's such a critical time, I've been coming here often by myself. I've already decided that I want to start a new life with her as my girlfriend in the future." Adam wasn't just fooling around, he was serious about pursuing Lauren. Hearing this made me feel even worse because it was clear he meant it. He had been seeing Lauren even before we got married. What did those days with me mean then? His parents were shocked too. After a moment, his mother asked, "What are you saying? What was your marriage to Amy all about?" "I made a mistaken judgment," Adam replied. "If I had met them in a different order, I would have married Lauren. My relationship with Amy just happened by chance, and it led to marriage. I tell myself I was just unlucky." So, our marriage wasn't what Adam really wanted. He had been intentionally harsh to me after we got married, hoping I would ask for a divorce. Now it made sense why he had been acting more and more selfish. He was only thinking about his own feelings, never considering mine from the start. I realized I couldn't accept being treated like this any longer. I no longer felt anything for Adam. Even if his relationship with Lauren wasn't serious, the fact that he lied and met another woman was real. His selfishness toward me had crossed the line. I handed him the divorce papers I had already prepared. They were ready to be filed as soon as he signed them. "Adam, sign this. You won't regret divorcing me, will you?" I asked. "Yeah, that's probably for the best. It'll make things easier, and I can date Lauren freely," he said, signing the papers quickly, as if he was happy to do it. Watching this, I felt a sense of victory. I put the papers in my bag and then said, "Actually, Adam, I found Lauren's posts on social media and contacted her. When I told her we were married, she was shocked." I continued, "Lauren is actually a close friend of mine. I reached out to her because I was worried, but it turns out she already has another partner and isn't interested in you. She even told me that you've been visiting her under false pretenses. She's getting married this fall. You might have been excited to meet someone from your past, but for Lauren, you were just a friend. It's pretty ironic you divorced me for another woman who doesn't even feel the same way." Adam's face turned pale, and it was clear to everyone around us. "Are you lying to mess with me? How could you?" he asked, shaken.
"No, Adam.
"No matter how much you criticize me, it doesn't change the truth. Lauren hasn't made her engagement public yet, but she shared it with me," I said, showing him a message from Lauren on my phone. The message clearly showed that she saw him only as a kind friend. Adam read the message and looked devastated. "Don't even think about asking me to come back. I'm not someone who remarries just to fill a gap. From now on, you should live on your own, without depending on anyone," I told him. Adam had relied on Lauren as emotional support, and now that she was out of the picture, he was left in a very vulnerable state. With our connection severed, he had nothing left. It was probably for the best, though Lauren wouldn't want to be stuck with a man who couldn't even take care of himself. She deserved someone better than him. "While I may have spoiled you in some ways, you failed as a husband," I added. Adam sat quietly, muttering to himself, "How did it come to this? Was the last 5 months all for nothing? Yes, you were just chasing after a friendly classmate. Or maybe you just let yourself be used," I said as I walked away, leaving him in silence. "I paid the price for the miserable 5 months you put me through. It's foolish to sacrifice family over such silly misunderstandings," I said. Adam grabbed my arm, silently begging me not to leave. But Rachel spoke up loudly, "Stop relying on others. During this whole trip, I was so annoyed by you and your mother assuming Amy would handle everything. No one acts like that anymore. Who do you think you are? All the things you've done without thinking are now catching up to you." The car was in chaos. Adam's usually quiet father and brother-in-law stayed silent, just watching everything unfold. From the way you've acted on this trip, I can't imagine how hard it must be to live with you every day. I couldn't take it for even one day. Those old-fashioned ideas about men or mothers-in-law being superior don't work anymore, Rachel continued, clearly fed up. Suddenly, Adam started laughing. Ha! Amy, no matter how tough you act, it's pointless. Even if I didn't like it, someone like you who doesn't have a job, can't live on your own, he said, still trapped in his delusions. He made it clear he thought he could keep me under his control. You have no choice but to depend on me.
I planned it that way.
Even after the divorce, your job options will be limited. You should just tear up the divorce papers and go back to running the house. Finally, his true intentions were out. To him, I was just like a maid. Looking back, even when we were dating, his kindness was probably only on the surface. What he really wanted was someone to take care of everything, so he didn't have to. Confused by his words, I replied, "What are you talking about? I make more money than you do." Adam thought I was joking and started laughing harder. Stop kidding around. What can a housewife who stays home all day possibly do? Don't disrespect working people. How would someone like you who knows nothing about the real world make any money? Who's out of touch here? You can't even handle basic chores and you take time off work to meet other women, I said, pulling out my phone. Take a look at this. I showed him the screen, which displayed my online banking app. It showed a deposit of $2,000 made during our 5-day trip, with notifications of more deposits over the past few days. I started selling my handmade crafts after you made me quit my job, I explained. Adam looked completely shocked, as if he never expected this. It wasn't surprising I had never mentioned my side business to him. Early in our marriage, he found some of my craft supplies and scolded me, asking why I bothered with it. When I first started selling my crafts, it was just a way to help out with household expenses. But after seeing Adam's negative reaction, I kept quiet and hid the fact that I was earning money. Actually, my recent pieces have been selling really well and at good prices with daily sales. I'm seriously thinking about starting my own business soon. Honestly, divorcing you is a good thing for me. I can focus on my work and won't have to take care of you anymore. Adam was clearly shocked and mumbled, "Starting a business?" He seemed frozen. I know starting a business is hard, but now that I can make my own money, I'm ready for the challenge. Unlike you, who just passes time at work, I'm going to create my own path. Rachel nodded in agreement. Adam slumped his shoulders, looking defeated. I feel like the time I spent being controlled by you is a waste, I told him. From now on, live your life however you want, but don't interfere in mine. Rachel backed me up, saying, "That's a great idea." He's always relied on others and taken advantage of them without doing anything himself. Let him face some real challenges for once. I couldn't help but laugh at Rachel's comment. You're right. He may look grown up on the outside, but he's still a child at heart. I'm done taking care of him. It's time for him to learn how to live on his own. As I prepared to leave, I said, "As I mentioned before, I'll walk to my new home. It's only 10 minutes away." I got out of the car and closed the door behind me. Before I left, I leaned in through the window and added, "Oh, and by the way, your mother said she couldn't live here, but I'll be the one enjoying this beautiful place now. Maybe one day you'll figure out a way to live here too. For now, I'm going to enjoy my life surrounded by nature." I waved with a big smile, and Adam and his mother looked frustrated. In the end, I finalized the divorce, secured some savings from our marriage, and received compensation for all the hardships I endured. I used that money to start my new business. Rachel and I stayed close even after the divorce. She later told me what happened after I left the car. "It was quite a scene," she said. "Adam completely lost his spirit, and his mother was upset about your new business and your cottage. Those two are hopeless. Even if Adam dates someone else in the future, with his personality, marriage will be difficult for him." I could imagine how things were for Adam. Even if he changed his selfish ways, he still had a controlling mother in the background. Most women would probably run away from that. According to Rachel, Adam has completely lost his confidence and is now even afraid to talk to women. He's living alone now, but he's struggling with basic daily tasks. His father refuses to help him because of his selfish behavior. Rachel laughed, saying Adam is likely to have a hard life ahead of him. She has distanced herself from their mother, which has really lowered her stress. Today, Rachel visited my home and complimented my cottage, saying, "It's such a beautiful and stylish house." "Wonderful, Amy. How are you?" "Thanks to you. I'm doing well, Rachel." "Thank you for coming all this way," I replied, smiling. Rachel waved and said warmly, "It's okay. Coming here is a nice change of pace for me, and the weather is lovely. I've been looking forward to spending time with you. It feels like I've gained a new sister." Her kindness brought me comfort after everything I had gone through. A special bond was growing between Rachel and me. Free from the stress of our family connections, we were building a supportive friendship. "Hey, Rachel, please take this," I said, handing her a piece of jewelry I had made especially for her. Rachel's face lit up as she accepted it. "This is amazing. Did you make this, Amy? You're so talented. I'm going to wear it right away." She put it on immediately, and seeing her so happy made me feel really good. That's how our relationship grew, almost like real sisters. Even though my marriage to Adam didn't work out, meeting someone as wonderful as Rachel made it all worthwhile. Now, in this peaceful area, I plan to enjoy life to the fullest.